Welcome one and all to another episode of Lens of Truth, a series breaking down all things Ocarina of Time. We'll be taking a detailed look at the story, dungeons, towns, minigames, game mechanics, and way more that Ocarina of Time has to offer, so if you're interested to see more after this video concludes, do consider subscribing to stay tuned. On our last episode, we tried to meet with Princess Zelda after having gathered all 3 spiritual stones, only to find her and Impa getting chased out of the Hyrule Castle by Ganondorf. Zelda threw us the Ocarina of Time, which we used to get into the Door of Time ourselves, and we managed to pull the Master Sword from his pedestal. In today's episode, we'll take a look at what happens next through the lens of truth. After we pulled the Master Sword and our vision faded to white, we suddenly hear a voice trying to wake us up. In opening our eyes, we see that we're in some crazy realm. There are beams of light shooting up on every side of us, we're standing on some sort of fountain platform with colored pedestals everywhere. Oh, and this must be the guy trying to wake us up. This man introduces himself as the ancient sage Rauru. Ages ago, he and the other ancient sages built the Temple of Time in order to protect the entrance to the sacred realm. Where we are now is called the Chamber of Sages inside of the Temple of Light. The Temple of Light is a place situated in the very center of the sacred realm, and Rauru tells us that this is the last stronghold we have against Ganondorf's evil forces. But hold on for a second. Ganondorf is still a problem? I thought collecting these stones was gonna prevent his evil once and for all, no? I thought we had completed our task here for the greater good of the realm, so how is he still being a problem? Well, it turns out that the Master Sword was the final key on top of our spiritual stones needed to access the sacred realm, and as soon as we opened it up by pulling the sword, Ganondorf kind of got in. It turns out Ganondorf knew about our quest and only started causing trouble around Hyrule in order to get us to collect the stones for him in the first place so that he could get access to the sacred realm without having to do any of the dirty work himself. And boy, did we ever fall right into his trap. Before carrying on with what he needs to tell us, Rauru tells us to take a good look at ourselves and not to be alarmed. Well, sure. Yeah, let me just take a look at myself. Holy shit, we look rad as hell now! How did we grow so much all of a sudden? What's going on? Rauru goes on to explain that the Master Sword is only fit to be pulled from its pedestal by the one worthy of the title Hero of Time, and unfortunately, at our young age, we weren't quite fit to take on that name. Instead, our spirit has sort of been kept here in the Temple of Time for about 7 years so that we'd be old enough and strong enough to complete our quest against Ganondorf's evil. After asking if we are willing to accept our destiny, Rauru tells us that when Ganon made his way into the sacred realm after us, he obtained the Triforce and used it to become the King of Evil. In the 7 years we've been kept inside the Chamber of Sages, Ganondorf's power has ruined the land of Hyrule. Rauru goes on to tell us that his power is of little use outside of the Chamber of Sages as things stand, but also brings to light that there is something we can do to help. All of the other sages are still out there, and the power still remains within them. As the Hero of Time wielding the Master Sword, we simply need to awaken the other sages. In conjunction with their power, we should be able to fully contain the evil power in the void of the realm. Once Rauru bids us farewell, he grants us with his light medallion, adding his power to our own and sending us out of the Chamber of Sages into the world. Once again, we find ourselves standing in the Temple of Time, only this time 7 years into the future from when we first entered it. Before we can walk out, a man appears behind us. They say they've been waiting quite some time for us, and he tells us this: when evil rules all, an awakening voice from the sacred realm will call those destined to be sages who dwell in the 5 temples. One in a forest, one on a mountain, one under a vast lake, one within the house of the dead, and one inside a goddess of the sand. Together with the Hero of Time, the awakened ones will bind the evil and return the light of peace to the world. This is the legend of the temples passed down by the Sheikah, who this man calls his people. Right after telling us all of this, he introduces himself as Sheik, the survivor of the Sheikahs, meaning it's most likely that the rest of the Sheikah clan are all gone now. Skipping past that though, Sheik tells us that we are the Hero of Time, and there's no mistaking it. If we believe the legend that he just told us, then it's our responsibility to seek out and awaken all 5 sages in the different temples spread throughout the land of Hyrule. And apparently, the first sage we're meant to seek out is a girl that we know waiting in the Forest Temple? Interesting. Thankfully, Sheik does tell us that, equipped as we are now, we have no way to enter the Forest Temple, and points us towards Kakariko Village to find the tool that we're currently missing. Sheik then asks us if we understand what we're doing, and calls us by name somehow. I guess within the 7 years that we've been gone, it is possible that some of the people we've met along our journey have spread the word that we entered the Temple of Time the last time we were seen, but That's interesting. In speaking with Sheik again, this is unfortunately all the information about this new skill that we're gonna get, so without messing about, we'll head out towards Kakariko Village in our next episode of Lens of Truth. I know this episode was a bit of a short one, but if you watched my last video to cap off 2024, you'll know that there are longer, higher effort videos coming soon to all of you watching. This is the last video sticking to my every single Friday schedule that I've been holding to because of that, but despair not. This series and videos covering other amazing titles are all coming your way as soon as I can get them done, and I can't wait for you to see it all happen right here on the Myloe channel. Anyways, that's all the time I have for today. My name's Myloe, and I'm out.